Hello, dear students. Today, in this series of lectures, we are going to take up the next concepts: satire, essay, and symbolism. First of all, let's discuss what satire is. Satire is a literary device which uses dark humor, irony, or exaggeration to hold up a mirror to the society. It is used to ridicule, scorn, and criticize the ways of a certain time period and people while pointing out what is inherently wrong with it. Satire is commonly found in genres like comic drama and fiction. Its tone may vary. For example, tolerant amusement in the verse satire of the Roman poet Horace, to the directly hostile and utter exasperation as in the verses of Juvenal and prose of Jonathan Swift. In his dictionary, Samuel Johnson defined satire as a poem in which wickedness or folly is censored or criticized. An example of satire would be Swift's writing. Satire is a sort of glass wherein beholders do generally discover everybody's face but their own, which is the chief reason for that kind of reception it meets in the world, and that so very few are offended with it. Satire can be personal or for a type of person, against a class, institution, nation, or an entire race. For example, Earl of Rochester's A Satire Against Reason and Mankind, or Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels. Ben Jonson's Walpole satirizes certain types of people. Dryden's Mac Flecknoe represents a kind of pretentious poetaster and satirized especially a rival author of his times, that was Thomas Sidwell. Now let's take up essay. The word essay came from the old French word essai, which means trial. The Oxford Dictionary defines it as a short piece of writing on a particular subject. The French writer Michel de Montaigne's Essays 1580 is the first example of this form. Francis Bacon in the 16th century inaugurated the English use of the term in his own essays. Most of them are short discussions such as of truth, of adversity, of marriage and single life. The essay discusses the subject in an informal way and often with the use of literary elements like stories, interesting case in points, wit, and irony. The essay can be written in formal, impersonal, and informal, that is, personal style. Formal and informal style. The tone of a formal essay is impersonal. The author of such an essay is usually well aware of the subject matter and illustrates it in an organized manner. It is addressed to an audience who already has prior knowledge about the subject, or for readers who want an in depth understanding of it. In an informal essay, the tone is very personal and intimate. Here, the author usually writes about everyday things rather than topics for which familiarity is expected. Abraham Cowley was one of the forerunners of the English essays who followed the Montaigne tradition. of personal and spontaneous informality. He wrote on subjects such as freedom, solitude, greed, the brevity of life, and uncertainty of riches. After him, Dryden consolidated the form of essay. His essay of dramatic poesy, 1668, was in dialogue form. What we now understand as the modern form of essay was first propounded by Richard Steele and Joseph Addison. They wrote on subjects such as the tombs in the Westminster Abbey, ladies' headdresses, the cries of London, and reflection of childhood. These found places in their periodicals, that is, Tatler and The Spectator. Daniel Defoe's journalistic writings and reviews also popularized the genre of essays. In the 19th century, William Hazlitt, Thomas De Quincey, Charles Lamb, and later in the century, Robert Louis Stevenson took the English essay, especially personal one, to new heights. American authors such as Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, and Mark Twain equally dabbled with it. Informal essays were brought back in the 20th century by Virginia Woolf, George Orwell, E.M. Forster, E.B. White, and Toni Morrison. Now let's discuss symbolism. The word symbol is derived from the Greek verb symbel, in which means to throw together, and its noun symbol, on which means mark, emblem, or sign. Symbolism refers to the use of symbols or a set of related symbols to express an idea. It is also the name given to an important art movement in the late 19th century. The entire structure of Dante's Divine Comedy is symbolic. In Shakespeare's Macbeth, there is a recurrence of the blood image symbolizing guilt and violence. In King Lear, the king's clothes symbolize authority. The poetry of William Blake and Percy Bysshe Shelley is very rich with symbolism. The shooting of the albatross in Samuel Taylor Coleridge's The Rime of the Ancient Mariner is symbolic of sin and stands for lack of respect for life and the natural order. In prose, William Golding's Lord of the Flies, 1954, Pincher Martin's, and The Spire depend upon powerful symbolism, capable of more than one interpretation. The symbolist movement designates especially a group of French writers beginning with Charles Baudelaire, Arthur Rimbaud, Paul Verlaine, and Paul Valéry. Baudelaire explained that everything, form, color, number, perfume, in the spiritual as well as in the natural world, is meaningful, reciprocal, converse, and correspondent. British and American literature in the 20th century was both deeply affected by the symbolist movement. The entire technical gamut of modern poetry was greatly enhanced by their uniquely experimentative techniques. Symbolist theories and symbolism slowly made their way into the poetry of modernists like T.S. Eliot and W. Yeats, and in the modern novel, as represented by Virginia Woolf and James Joyce, where images and notions often became more important than the actual narrative. That's all for today, and have a nice day. Thank you.